Posted by you/embarrassed_bit_8909. My husband is a transgender man, and we've always wanted to start a family together. I have a huge fear of pregnancy, so he offered to carry the baby. It was an intense process. He had to stop taking testosterone for a long time, but he was amazing throughout the entire journey, and I did everything I could to help him feel more comfortable. None of my family knows that he is transgender. They're homophobic, transphobic, basically all the phobics, but our friends know. He posted an ultrasound to his private Instagram, not realizing that my sister follows him on a burner account. She saw the photo and told my whole family. They were furious that I hadn't told them. Our plan was to say we adopted. They assumed I was the one pregnant and blew up at me, so I just let it go and rolled with a lie because I wasn't going to out my husband. The first couple of months, I let them visit. Eventually, I started eating big meals and purposely bloating myself to the point of discomfort so I'd look pregnant. Around the 6-month mark, they started commenting on how remarkably small I was, but I just played it off. Eventually, I couldn't keep up the lie any longer, so I looked for every excuse in the book to avoid seeing my family. I turned down offers for baby showers, gender reveal parties, anything that would require us to be around them. Luckily, my family lives an hour away, and we all have busy lifestyles, so random visits weren't an issue. The one time they did pop in unexpectedly, we happened to be out of the house. If they FaceTimed, I made a point to be in bed, pretending to feel horribly sick so I wouldn't have to give a bump update. I lied my ass off, and they just assumed I was having a rough pregnancy. My husband gave birth a year ago, went straight back on testosterone, and now we're happier than ever. My family has met our daughter, and they absolutely adore her. A week ago, after an argument between me and a friend, that friend decided to out my husband to my family by sending them proof. They created a group chat with everyone, posted screenshots, and shared the whole story. Then they added, "I'll leave you all to discuss," left the chat, and blocked both me and my husband. In a transphobic rage, my mother raced to my home and practically beat down my front door. It wasn't pretty. I had to call the cops. I've been disowned, but that hasn't stopped the daily calls and texts from my parents, aunts, uncles, siblings, and others, leaving hateful transphobic slurs on my voicemail and other cruel messages. Yesterday, I ended up crying to a friend, who told me I should have been honest with my family from the start, as it might have saved me a lot of heartache. They suggested that I could have said we miscarried and then claimed we adopted later. I'm not happy with how things turned out, and I just feel so sad now. Maybe it was wrong to lie to my family, but at the time, I felt like I had no choice. Edit. My husband has always encouraged me to maintain a relationship with my family, though it was mostly for his sake. Personally, I mentally checked out years ago. When they met him, they welcomed him with open arms and treated him like a son. Yes, it was conditional on their assumption that he was cisgender, but we never intended for them to find out otherwise. He felt a familial love he's never experienced with his own family, which is why I kept my relationship with my parents at his request. If it weren't for him, I most likely would have cut them off a long time ago. I'm sad that this has happened, but most of my sadness is for my husband rather than for myself. As for the friend who outed him, they're obviously no longer a friend and never will be again. The other friend who said I should have told the truth is on thin ice. Commenter. How did he hide his baby bump and other body changes from them? Ops response. He's a rather large guy, both tall and broad. Beneath baggy clothes, it was hard to tell he was pregnant until around the 7-month mark. He looked bigger up to that point, but he didn't look visibly pregnant, if that makes sense. Commenter. What was the fight between the ex-friend about? Ops response. The fight was about them becoming homeless and us not being able to help as much as they would have liked. They failed to pay their rent and wanted to move in with us because they were being evicted. I said no because this person is unstable and drinks to the point of getting physical. Instead, I offered to help them find government housing for low-income earners, but that wasn't enough. They asked for money, and we said no. I'm fairly certain they were intoxicated when they created that group chat. Update 1 day later. I got caught up in some other stuff outside Reddit for a few hours. First, thank you all so much for the overwhelming amount of support and care. I wish I could reply to everyone. Y'all are right that my husband is one tough cookie, and he's too wonderful for his own good sometimes. Second, my apologies to all the transphobes who were upset by my post. It must be horrible being so fragile. Get well soon. Third, after reading all of your comments, my husband and I decided that moving will be the best thing for us. It's scary because it's such a big change, and we'll be in an unfamiliar place, but we're looking forward to living in a more LGBTQIA+ friendly area. I've asked a friend to call in a welfare check on this ex-friend since they are technically missing, but I'm washing my hands of this whole situation and anything to do with this person. Again, thank you all so much for the love and support. Second update 3 months later. Hi all, it's been over 3 months since my post blew up on Ida. I messaged the mods for approval to provide an update, but unfortunately, That wasn't possible due to the controversial nature of my original post, which I completely understand. Firstly, thank you all for the support. I was absolutely blown away and never expected my post to gain as much attention as it did. Secondly, my husband, baby, and I are safe. We moved about 3 hours away from our old place, and we're very happy. We have much more space, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because I finally have room for a home studio, and my husband has enough space for a workshop. It's a curse because there are more rooms to clean. The baby is thriving, and we've made new friends, including some with babies around the same age as ours. My husband and I miss my family despite everything that has happened. We've cut contact, and I don't know if we'll ever be ready to reestablish it. It hurts, and it sucks, but I know it's for the best. My sister has tried reaching out, but my parents are too stubborn. Now, onto an update about our friend who outed my husband. I did end up calling for a welfare check on them, as nobody had heard from them for over a month, and none of our friends wanted to call it in themselves. Because they were homeless, it was difficult to track them down, and they weren't considered a high priority despite presenting as manic the last time someone saw them. Unfortunately, their body was recovered a little over 2 weeks ago after their car was found. My husband and I were distraught and still don't feel like it's quite real. We attended their funeral and said our goodbyes. We are considering speaking to a grief counselor together, as we've experienced a lot of loss through this whole ordeal. So, that's about it. Not the happiest update, but I thought I'd hop on and share it anyway.